Well, hi everyone. This is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video wrap-up of week number 5 and introduction to week number 6. And in week number 5, we were once again taking a look at this hospital nurse staffing study, and we talked about the target populations and had a bit of a conversation about who the target population was a sample representative of a target population, and how generalizable are the results. Overall, I think everybody pretty much has the idea. The target population for this particular study was all the nurses that work in Pennsylvania. Several of you had mentioned that you thought that the target population was a larger population, that it was all the nurses that were working in the United States. But for that to be the case, then there would have had to been nurses that were picked for this study from other states. All the nurses that were selected, all the hospitals that were reviewed were from the state of Pennsylvania. So therefore, that was the target population for this particular study. And in other words, the results most closely were designed to most closely determine the results that would be found within the state of Pennsylvania. Now, that's not quite the same thing as generalizability, though. Generalizability is over which population or to what other populations can you generalize these results. And then an argument can be made that the results could be generalized to a larger population. This would be an analogy. Let's say, for example, that I'm going to take an institution that everybody knows, maybe doesn't love, but everybody knows McDonald's. McDonald's is a very prolific hamburger chain. If you've ever been to McDonald's, and most people have, you know that whether you're going to McDonald's in Southern California or in Connecticut or in Florida or even in most places overseas, the product is pretty much the same. A hamburger from McDonald's is almost scarily predictable what it's going to taste like. I mean, it is pretty much the same everywhere. The quality control is very consistent that way. So let's say that you have a McDonald's in your city, and you go in and you do a survey of the satisfaction of people at McDonald's in the McDonald's in your city. Well, in that particular case, you're going to go in and you're going to talk to people in that restaurant. That's the target population. The target population is people eating in that, or that eat or patronize that particular McDonald's. Well, does that mean that the results that you get from that you could say that those results might be generalizable to another people going to another McDonald's, maybe on the other side of the city or other side of the state? Well, you could say that, especially knowing that the target population is probably the same, and the cooking methods and everything else is pretty much the same. So you could make that argument. You really couldn't say for sure, though. You'd still have to go to that other McDonald's and talk to the people there and see what their experience is like to really make a high confidence prediction that the results would be the same. But that's kind of the idea here. So generalizability is not something that is generally discussed by the authors of the study. Usually the authors of a study will specify a target population, or at least describe a target population. But the generalizability is up to the people that are reading the study. For example, if you're a nurse working in, for example, Utah, or in Wisconsin, or in West Virginia, could you look at the results from this study and say that it may apply to the nurses in your particular state? It may, but you'd have to still do that study to see if that was the case. So anyway, so that was the pretty much the discussion. I think that the main things to take away from the discussion. The study itself was a very large study. It was a very large scale. Again, as we discussed last week, it captured just about half of the nurses in the state of Pennsylvania, and about 25% of all the nurses in the state of Pennsylvania actually participated in this study. So that made a very large study, very large-scale study with a high degree of confidence. And so in week number 6, we shift gears a little bit. We're going to put aside for the moment the discussion of quantitative methodologies, and we're going to open a new study. This is a LIN study, the phenomenology of deciding about hemodialysis among Taiwanese. This is a qualitative study that was done, and what you're going to do is going to discuss the sampling plan, and we'll be comparing this a little bit later on with qualitative and quantitative studies, ones that we've looked at before. But want to discuss the qualitative sampling plan and identify and discuss was saturation achieved. Saturation of data is an important concept when it comes to qualitative data. And so we're going to be talking about similar concepts, but the terms are a little bit different. So we're going to be, again, shifting from more of a quantitative to a qualitative methodology discussion here over the next couple weeks. You should have turned in this week also your quantitative critique. I'll be looking at those and grading those by the weekend. And so I'll be looking for the grade on those. Also, if you have any questions about any of the statistics material or any of the concepts in class, please feel free to go ahead and send me an email or post a message, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So everybody have a great week. I look forward to participating with you, as always, in the discussion forums, and we'll see you in class.